I don't want to take much of your time. My name is Mehmet Kılıç. I'm the president of the Journalists and Writers Foundation. It is an international civil society organization based in New York that is dedicated to the culture of peace, human rights, and sustainable development. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to this important panel discussion. And I believe that the fighting against gender-based violence is a shared responsibility. Men and women, we all have to work together. We have to put our efforts together to fight against gender-based violence at the national, at the local, national, and global levels. Government, private sector, and the civil society should work in collaboration to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, in particular, goal number 5, gender equality, which aims to end all forms of discrimination against women and girls, and at the same time, goal number 10, reduce inequalities within and among countries. Today, I was asked to talk about some applicable strategies that can address gender-based violence globally. I would like to share 3 strategies developed by a member state, by UN Women, and an NGO. Before I go into the application strategies to prevent gender-based violence, I would like to share some facts and statistics about gender-based violence. Also talk about violence against women. Because my colleagues, they talked about the importance of knowledge and facts. If you don't know these facts, you don't really understand what is gender-based violence or abuse of women. Gender-based violence is a violation of human rights that cause significant social, economic, and political challenges for individuals, for societies, and nations. Some of the forms of violence against women are physical, sexual, and psychological forms. Gender-based violence limits education, equal access to education, which my colleague mentioned. It reduces productivity and economic development. It prevents individuals from participating in social and economic engagement in life. Gender-based violence also threatens safety and security of the society. It violates the dignity, health, and human rights of individuals. So when we talk about all these factors and we think about the Sustainable Development Goals, we understand how gender-based violence and Sustainable Development Goals are interrelated or interconnected. Women and girls are the most vulnerable group that are affected by gender-based violence compared to men and boys. According to the United Nations Women, almost 750 million women and girls faced forced and early marriage before they are 18 years old. According to the UN Women, 1 in 3 women and girls experience violence in their lifetime. They are either beaten, forced into sex, or otherwise abused in her lifetime. According to the UN Population Fund, 50% of the sexual abuse worldwide are against girls 15 and younger. So when we think about all these statistics, we kind of understand women and children, women and girls are vulnerable, but we kind of understand how vulnerable they are. And then that creates a different kind of understanding among us. Of course, in the context of humanitarian crisis, conflicts, wars, or emergencies, women and children are often the most vulnerable groups to exploitation, violence, and abuse because of their gender, age, and status in society. When we talk about women with disabilities, they are 2 to 3 times more likely to suffer physical and sexual abuse. Sexual violence is widely observed during the wars and conflicts. When we look at the world, wherever there is war and conflict, sexual violence are at the highest levels. We all know about the Yazidi women, or the women in Syria and Iraq, or the Rohingya women. And when we look at this map, we can kind of like understand where women and children, where women and girls are most violated, because there is a positive correlation between gender-based violence and conflict, wars, and humanitarian crisis. Now I would like to share some of the strategies developed by the USAID. Many people condemn gender-based violence through social media, which is important, but which is the easiest thing to do. We need to go beyond it and take concrete steps to make change in the mindset of the people. We have to make sure that gender-based violence is not a culture, it is a criminal act. The people should view gender-based violence as unacceptable, and people should respond to gender-based violence behaviors through social media and ensure accountability. The US strategy has 3 principles which I would like to share. The first one is prevention of gender-based violence